enjoying life and going with the flow.
And this is going to be episode 6 of the Coach Bergen Show. All right. What's up? What's up?
Oh, hey.
Hey.
1 second. Let me
Cool.
fix my... all right, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you turn your camera sideways though? Because you're sideways right now. Or maybe
Okay. Like
upside
this?
down. Yeah. That's better. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, cool.
Cool. Awesome. So, Jesse Dragonheart, how did you get that name?
So I actually play a lot of video games and Dungeons and Dragons, and I was just thinking about it because I wanted to come up with my wrestling name, and I figured that my biggest strength at the time, and I still think that's the case, is even though I wasn't the biggest or the strongest person out there, I had a really big heart, like as big as a dragon's heart, and so I was like, Jesse Dragonheart. That seems pretty catchy. So that's kind of how I came up with the name.
I like it. So, tell me, how did you get started with wrestling?
How I got started with wrestling? Well, I started watching wrestling since I was a little kid. My dad used to be a big fan. He still is today, actually. And I would just watch the shows. I started by watching Rey Mysterio. I remember one of my fondest memories as a kid was watching him win the 2006 Royal Rumble. And ever since then, I've just been a huge fan. And just a couple of years ago, I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to try to see if I could be a pro wrestler.
Okay.
So
what was your
I've
next
been
step?
doing this for about...
Where did you go to train?
So I trained at Flatbacks, that is run by Tyler Breeze and Sean Spears in Orlando, Florida. And I saved up my money from the job I was working, and I took 2 months. I rented an Airbnb, and I took the course, and I trained for 2 months. I was able to meet a lot of good people and train and just learn the basics of everything. And when I finished the course, they just sent us out, and they were like, now that you know the basics of pro wrestling, just try to get yourselves out there and start getting reps in the ring. And I've just been going ever since then.
Okay. So tell me about, what was your first match like?
My first match, that was at Diamond Championship Wrestling, and it all started where I was just looking for places to train and stay ring ready, and I trained there a couple times, and then I showed up to their first show that they were running that I was present for, and they were like, hey man, do you have your gear? We were hoping that maybe we could see what you got, and I was like, yep, because I brought my gear, because that's one of the things I was taught was always bring your gear even if you're not booked for a show. And I was just super excited, super nervous. I still didn't have proper entrance music yet, so they just played some like copyright-free music. But it was very fun. They said I did very well, and they were surprised that it was my first match ever. So, yeah, it was a great experience. I had wrestled practice matches before, but there's nothing like wrestling in front of a crowd for the first time.
Oh, I imagine. It's probably a whole different experience at that point. All the pressure's on you, you know?
Yes, lots of pressure, lots of nerves before the match. That anxiety starts to hit. You could be as confident as ever, but man, I always get nervous before my matches.
So I had saw in one of your videos you had stood on top of the ropes on top, on the turnbuckle and jumped off. Like, how do you have the balance for that? That's got to be tough to stand on it.
So yes, it is hard for a lot of people to balance, and it can be difficult depending on the tightness of the ropes in the ring. But I've grown up on the trampoline, jumping off big roofs and everything, so I've always felt comfortable in the air. I love to fly, and so like it's a big part is just having the confidence and the faith in yourself to not fall, just to have really good balance. It can be hard, but once you kind of like get your footing and you like get the muscle memory, then it becomes pretty easy. And once you get over the fear factor and the nervousness, and I'm already comfortable up in the air. Eventually, you get used to it after a while.
Okay. So, what has been your favorite match you've had so far?
My favorite match ever? That would be hard to say because I had a lot of very enjoyable matches. But I'd have to say, if I had to pick an absolute favorite, it would probably be one of my more recent ones from about 2 weeks ago, where I made my debut at Combat Sport Pro Wrestling. I've been wrestling there quite a lot recently, and I'll be wrestling there again this Saturday, or next Saturday, May 31st. But it was a fatal four-way match against Lucha Lacora, Orion, and Raza Raleigh. And in that match, that was one of the first times I'd been in the ring for just about 30 minutes, and we were just able to go, and I felt like I was able to really showcase what I have to give, to showcase my talents, and to show that I can really, I can duke it out with the best of them.
For sure. So being in the ring for 30 minutes, that's got to be tough. That's got to take a lot of conditioning and cardio. And how do you train for that? How do you prepare?
So it can be very hard. There's a lot of things that go into pro wrestling training. You can only do so much to prepare for being in a proper match in front of a crowd, but it's lots of cardio, lots of ring conditioning, because the wear and tear that the ring can put down on your body is very real. It will wear you down. You need to build up kind of a callus to the ring, and just running the ropes, hitting the mat when you get slammed down. And so lots of just in-ring training. That's a lot of what pro wrestling training is about, is being in the ring, being able to have high enough energy and to have enough energy in your body to be able to do those moves and to continue performing even when you are exhausted and you are tired. Other than that, outside of the ring training, it's just hitting the gym. I'm in the gym almost every day if I can manage it with my schedule, working out, doing cardio, lifting weights, just being in the best physical condition that you possibly can be, so that when it is time to perform, that I can give it my best, and I know that I will be able to make it, and that my body can rise to the occasion and survive that long in the ring.
Awesome. So what has been the craziest match you've done so far?
The craziest match? I have to say, probably, if I had thought of craziest, I would think it would be my match against the Pope Elijah Burke at Reefermania in Miami, Florida. That was a pretty wild one.
Okay, tell me about that. How'd it go?
Yeah, so it was at Reefermania, and so the show was in a bit of a more secluded location, and I didn't know who I was going to be wrestling that day. I just knew that they would have me booked for the show, and then it turns out they have a tournament, and I find out that I'm going to be wrestling against Elijah Burke, former WWE star.
Oh, wow.
He was on WWE's version of ECW, and it was great. It was the first time that I was able to wrestle someone from WWE in a live match, because I had wrestled WWE stars before because they had trained me, but this was in a real match, and it was hard hitting, and it was just, it was a dream. It was a really great opportunity, and it was very crazy. Just like, I remember being in the ring, seeing him make his entrance, and just being like, wow, this is happening right now. This is really going to happen. It was absolutely crazy.
That must have been surreal.
It really was. I've had a lot of moments where I'm just between the ropes, and I'm just like, what am I doing? I'm actually in the ring. I'm actually like fighting and performing as a pro wrestler, like how I've been watching all my biggest stars growing up.
Okay. So that brings me to my next question. Who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
If I had to pick an absolute favorite, like, of all time, it has to be Rey Mysterio. Just watching him growing up watching him, like, wrestling in the ring. He's a Mexican luchador. I'm half Hispanic, so I felt a connection with him, and I just loved the mixture of his bright colors and his high flying ability, and the fact of his size, because I'm a shorter guy, and seeing him in the ring, just being able to go to the heights that he was able to go to, winning the world championship at WrestleMania, it just inspired me, and I'm like, if that guy can be that amazing, then maybe I can be like that one day. And so it's got to be Rey Mysterio, hands down.
Okay, awesome. I remember he was definitely one of my favorites because he was high flying, high energy.
Yeah.
And then Eddie Guerrero was definitely like the guy that I liked. There was always, people that I would be like, oh, I like this guy. Oh, I want him to win, But probably Eddie Guerrero was one of my favorites. And then, Rey Mysterio, of course, So, all right. So if you could wrestle anybody, who would it be? Whether they're alive or not, whether they're currently active on the roster or not.
If I could wrestle anyone, that is a tough question because, you know, we can say our favorites and everything, but I just have so many who are special to me for different reasons. But if I had to pick one above everyone else, it would probably have to be Daniel Bryan because even though Rey Mysterio would probably be my all-time favorite, to me, like, my modern favorite now is Daniel Bryan because while Rey Mysterio got me into wrestling, as I got older, you know, became more of a teenager and into my adult years, I just saw Daniel Bryan and he resonated with me. Same thing on the littler guy and everything, but then just the passion, the emotion. I felt like I could connect to him as a person, you know, seeing his intensity. He inspired me and I saw a lot of myself in him and what I could become and just the pleasure to be able to wrestle him that would make my life. If I could wrestle Daniel Bryan, then if I couldn't wrestle ever again after that, I would be happy. That would be a
Okay.
true dream.
So let's put it in a hypothetical here. You wrestle him, but if you win, you can never wrestle again. If you lose, you have well actually, you know what? Either way, you were just saying the same scenario. So let me change it up a little bit. If you win, you get the title, okay? But if you lose, you never get to wrestle again. So, you know, that would obviously be something you would do. Damn, I don't know how to make that a hypothetical where it's like a lose for you because you're just happy to wrestle him.
Exactly, it's true. It's true. You
So
know,
it's not
I would
like,
love to win.
yeah, whether you win or lose, you
Mhm.
don't seem to care either way. You
I
just
would
want to be
love
able to compete with
to
him.
win. Yes, exactly. I would love to win, you know, I hate to lose, but to be able to go, just to be in the ring with him, even if I did lose, it's a win-win for me. It's like playing with house money,
Right.
you know? I got nothing to win. I got
Nothing.
nothing to lose, everything to win.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna have to come up with a better question for that scenario then. But so let's say that it could be any kind of matchup at all. You know, TLC, it could be a hardcore match, it could be, you know, anything. What kind of match would it be, and who would it be against?
Oh, if I had to pick just a dream match against anyone, like stipulation worthy, well, I can't just say a one-on-one match because I think that would be too basic. So, you know, just for fun, it would probably really rack my body, but I would just say like Jeff Hardy in a TLC match. I think we would go pretty crazy with the high flying, crashing through tables. It would be a real battle, and I would love to have the chance to do that against one of the masters, one half of Team Extreme,
Oh
Jeff Hardy.
yeah, that would be awesome. The Hardy Boys were
Yeah,
actually probably my favorite. Thinking about it now that you say that. Um,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah. Um, all right, cool. So, what do you have for matches coming up? I know you said you had one next weekend.
Yes, I have one next weekend. That'll be for Combat Sport Pro Wrestling again. That'll be the third week in a row I'm wrestling for them. It'll
Awesome.
be May 31st, and I believe it'll be in Biloxi. And then the week after that, I will be wrestling for the company that I am the Universal Champion of. I actually have the belt right here.
Oh,
The Universal Champion for MCW, that's Magnolia Championship Wrestling, and we are based out of Pascagoula, Mississippi. And I will be wrestling there June 7th for the show. I believe it's called Suntans and Suplexes.
suntans and suplexes. That's a really cool name.
Yeah.
I like it. I
It
like it.
is, it is.
I like it.
Yes, and I'm going to be going up against the Manimal Caden Marks. And
Aiden
I'm
Marks.
excited to be facing off against him.
Okay, and you're defending your title.
Yes, yes, I believe so. I'll be defending the Universal Championship against the Manimal Caden Marks. And I've known him for a while. We've shared a couple of locker rooms. I've never had the chance to square off against him in the ring, but soon enough we're going to find out who's going to be the better man.
Awesome. I love it. I'm gonna make sure to clip that for you. Um, cool.
Thank you.
So, um, do you have a favorite move that you like to do?
A favorite move? Yeah, I have a few that I'm quite fond of. Right off the bat, I just love to hit a Hurricane Rana. Whether it's off the ground where I jump up and hit them with it, or if I springboard off the ropes, I just love to hit Hurricane Ranas. They're so much fun, very invigorating and exciting, and it's a good move that I know I can always rely on to take my opponents down.
Okay. Awesome. So, outside of wrestling, what do you like to do in your day-to-day life?
Outside of wrestling, I got to admit it, I'm kind of a nerd. You know, I call myself Jesse Dragonheart. That's because I love playing Dungeons and Dragons, love playing video games, but also, other than that, honestly, now I've kind of become a gym rat. I'm always in the gym working out every day. And a big thing, I'm a big fan of animals. I'm a huge dog person. I've got one dog. Her name's Sapphire. She's a little like pit bull terrier mix. She's just the sweetest, and I love her. I love animals. We got a cat too. His name's Wino. Kind of named after Lino, you know, from the Thundercats because he whines so much. It's kind of a joke, yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, yeah, playing video games, working out, and loving on animals. They're just that's kind of the trinity I got going on for myself right now outside of
All
wrestling.
right. Awesome. So if
Yeah,
you could,
I love to travel as well, and
yeah,
that comes with the job of wrestling. So yeah, it all just works out.
perfect. Where have you gotten to travel to for wrestling? What places have you been to so far?
Oh, so I've been all over. I've been to Orlando, Florida, a lot of Florida. I've been to Miami, been to Jacksonville for some of Elijah Burke's shows. I've also been out to Mississippi and Pascagoula, like I said. The furthest I've been out aside from Miami, I've been up to Georgia and Atlanta, the Atlanta area. Wrestled a match there for Pro Wrestling Rebellion. Also wrestled around Alabama in my home state where I'm based out of, just all up and down the Gulf Coast, really. And those have been the main states that I've been wrestling in so far.
Where's been your favorite place to wrestle?
My favorite place to wrestle? I gotta say, probably Orlando. It's just a really, really nice location. I love the city. I have a special connection to it now because that's where I was trained at. And it's just a great time. The talent there is amazing. You get to learn so much. Florida's kind of the state where a lot of wrestlers live. I've come to realize it's kind of like the wrestler state because, you know, you've got the Performance Center down there and NXT and everything. So, yeah, gotta be Orlando, Florida for that one.
Okay. All right. So tell me about when you won your title. What was that match like? Who did you
Oh,
win it against?
yes, the NCW Universal Championship here
Yeah.
that I've got, this beautiful belt right here. All right. So this is the second championship I've won at Magnolia Championship Wrestling.
Okay.
And it was kind of a bittersweet moment because I had to vacate my previous championship because of some management issues going on with who owned the title at the time and getting separated from the company. So I was forced to relinquish that title. But MCW management, as a kind of like a reward as for being a good champion and just giving me another chance since I was a contender for the title, they put me in a match to crown the inaugural Universal Champion. And so it was a whirlwind of emotions having to relinquish my title, but then I found out I was in a match for another championship, and then it just came down to who would be the better man. I faced off against Alex Gunn, and even though he tried every trick in the book to take me down, I proved to be the better man, and I proved to bring home the title, and it was always a beautiful moment. You know, there's nothing like your first championship win, but to know that you've got it again and that you can win another title and that you have that talent, you have that fire that people see to put you in the position to win a championship, it's just a wonderful feeling. Amplified even more when you hear the crowd, when you hear the fans cheering for you. You know, you're out there putting your body on the line for them to know that you have their love and their acceptance, and for them to cheer you on when you win a championship. There is not a greater feeling than that, man. It was like a dream. It was like nothing else. It's so much fun. The feeling, that rush of energy I get when I win the title, it really is something else. It's out of this world. It's out of this world.
Awesome. So that was impactful. All right. If you couldn't be a wrestler, what would you do in your life?
If I couldn't be a wrestler, you know, that's a problem I've had growing up. You know, everyone's always like, what do you want to do? You know, and I never really knew. I never really fit in very well with many crowds. I wasn't sure what to do. It was kind of that thing of like, I had the choice of so many options. I didn't know what to do because my parents, they always supported me they were like, whatever you want to do, we'll be proud of you. And so I struggled a long time. But I think the thing that I always have fun with, the thing that kind of speaks to me as a person is entertainment. I love to entertain. And so when I found pro wrestling, when I thought about it, I'm like, I'm very athletic and I also love to entertain. It seems like the perfect combination of skills, So pro wrestler fit pretty well, and that's why I've gone down this path. But to answer your question, if I had to do something other than pro wrestling, it would have to be entertainment. Maybe music. I love music. That's probably my second biggest passion. Probably my first, actually, after pro wrestling. And yeah, I would probably try to pursue something in music, maybe start a band, a rock band or something, or maybe get into entertainment or acting, just something in the entertainment industry because I love to put smiles on people's faces and I love to perform. When I'm on the stage, that just feels like where I belong.
I feel that. I feel that. And I definitely see myself being in entertainment, as well.
Yeah.
Part of
Yeah.
where I've started to, I guess, want to put myself out there and do podcasts and interview people and, where I've started doing anything to try to become somebody is because I have an ambition to create this film based off of my real life story from about 10 years ago. So 10 years
Yeah.
ago, 10 years ago, I was in a coma, and the doctors had told my parents that the best case scenario was for me to be in a vegetative state the rest of my life. And I had
Wow.
all these crazy dreams while I was in it. I thought they were true when I woke up. And when I did wake
Wow.
up, they brought me to a rehab center to teach me to walk again. And on that first night
Wow.
there, the doctor said it was going to be a few months, probably a year before I made it back home. I told him I was going to be home next week. And he started laughing at me. He's like, I have no clue where you're getting that idea from. It's going to be at least a few months and then we can talk. And I said, well, no offense, doctor, but you don't know me. I am going to be home next week. And a week to that day,
That's
I
right.
made it back home. And so
Wow.
I wrote down everything about the experience from start to finish. It's called Coma Dreams. And I'm going to create that one day is my goal. And so part of why I want to be, doing these podcasts and networking with people is so that way when I do get to that point where I can create it, then I have the resources and the people who want to support it and who, want to see it flourish and might even want to be involved with helping to create it. But yeah, so that's part of,
Yeah.
why I'm giving other people the
Yeah. Thank
spotlight
you
with
for
this,
sharing.
so that way I can help, put spotlight towards my own story,
Yeah.
and then be able to
Yeah.
inspire others to be able to see that the opinions of the quote unquote experts don't have to be their reality.
Exactly, man. I feel you on that. Thank you for sharing that story. That takes a lot of heart, and I respect that. That ambition that you have to show the world your story and to inspire others. That's how I feel that. I resonate with that because that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to prove that no matter what anybody tells you that you can do or what you're supposed to be, that if you believe deep down in your heart of hearts and you truly believe that you can do something, that if you put your mind to it and you dedicate your hard work to it, that you can achieve that. And I believe that you will achieve your goal and your ambition of publishing that movie that you have based on your life. That's a very inspiring story, man.
Thank you.
I resonate with that.
Thank
You're
you.
very welcome.
It's one of many things that I'll be doing, but that's like the bigger goal that I probably, share the most. I also
Yeah,
have a
man.
cartoon
I
I've been
wish you
creating.
luck.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're
Um,
welcome.
I have a cartoon I've been creating as well called Jiu-Jitsu Monkey and Friends. And so
Oh, nice.
I'm working on creating the first like official episode tonight
Mm-hmm.
and then putting it out there. I'll share it with you when it's done. But all I've done
Sounds great.
previously for it is like short videos, and then I did like a couple holiday episodes. But I'm gonna actually start putting it together as like a series, and then once I have 10 episodes, then my plan is to start trying to pitch it to different streaming platforms like Netflix, Hulu, even UFC Fight Pass to see if anybody would be interested in buying it and like being able to continue doing it. So, yeah, I'm gonna get the first one done tonight, and then I'm gonna try to put out an episode every other week, and yeah, and then eventually I'll get there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, sounds like a plan, man. Just stay hard, stay consistent, and I'm sure it'll start to
for
take off
sure,
for
for
sure.
sure, for sure. All right, if you could eat only one meal the rest of your life, what would it be?
If I could only eat one meal for the rest of my life, what would it be? If I, you know what, I'll give the healthy answer, and I'll say just for the gains, chicken and rice.
Chicken rice.
It's a healthy meal. It helps me gain muscle, puts on that protein. It's great. If I could eat that, you can prepare it in a bunch of different ways to make it taste good. So yeah, chicken and rice.
That's
That's me.
probably the most sustainable option too. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
like out
yeah.
of
It'll keep
every
me
meal,
alive.
that probably has all of the nutrition that your body needs. You know,
Exactly, exactly.
that's a smart
That's
choice.
all.
That's a smart choice. I've
Yeah, it's a
always
good.
thought like an
It's a
omelet,
go-to meal
you
for me.
know, and
Oh, oh yeah, an
you know,
omelet. Yeah, yeah, that's good. Good
which would be
breakfast
the
food.
same kind of scenario where it has all the, ingredients you need or whatever nutrition you need. Um, but
Right.
I like to throw like tomato sauce and cheese and then some vegetables in there
Hmm.
and some meat, of
Yeah.
course. So,
Hmm.
it's almost like pasta, except instead of pasta, it's eggs. Um,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and sour cream too, of course. Um,
Gotta love sour cream.
yeah. All right. Last question for
Awesome.
you. So,
Okay.
if you could be any animal, what animal would you be?
If I could be any animal, well, the obvious answer would be a dragon, but I'm gonna keep it more realistic because that's kind of more on the fantasy side of things. If I could be any animal in the world, let me think about this
Mhm.
one. You know what? If I could be any animal in the world, I think I would have to go with the wolf. I feel like I've just always resonated with them. I love dogs, and just like that pack mentality, that mindset. I've got pretty sharp canine teeth like fangs. I've always just loved looking at wolves and just seeing them and being like, you know what? I kind of feel like I would resonate with them. I
All
feel like
right.
I would get along with
All
them.
right.
I could howl at the moon, and nobody would look at me like I'm a crazy person because then I'd actually be a wolf. It'd be great. It'd be
I
awesome.
like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. In
Thank you.
today's world, you could probably just do it anyway. You know?
Yeah, yeah, probably. Maybe get a few stray
Yeah.
glances here and there, but it's
Yeah.
all right.
Especially if it's nighttime and if
Yeah.
you're at like a music festival or something, it
Yeah,
would be easy enough
yeah,
to just
yeah.
do it and people wouldn't even think twice. They would,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
might think
what
you're
is
on
that?
drugs, but
Nod.
like they wouldn't think much about it past that. They wouldn't
Yeah,
think you're
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
They would just think intoxicated.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure plenty of people do that anyways.
Exactly. All right, cool. So I'm gonna work on getting this uploaded tonight, and then I'll send it to you afterwards. And yeah, so thank you for joining me. And is there
Thank
anything else you
you.
want to plug before we go?
If I just had to plug anything, my name is Jesse Dragonheart. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Those are kind of my three main platforms I'm on. Jesse Dragonheart, Jesse the Dragonheart. It's all just in there. I'm sure I'll come right up. And then I wrestle at Magnolia Championship Wrestling. That is my home promotion. That is the promotion that I hold this illustrious championship, the Universal Championship for MCW. We're based out of Pascagoula, Mississippi, yet again, and I'm wrestling there June 7th for suntans and suplexes. And this weekend, or next weekend, I suppose it would be, May 31st, I'll be wrestling in Biloxi for Combat Sport Pro Wrestling. I believe we're celebrating Ray Fury's birthday. It's kind of like a birthday bash type of deal.
All right,
Other than that, you can find me wrestling on the Gulf Coast, anywhere and everywhere. If Jesse Dragonheart is there, that's who I am, and that's where I'm going to be.
awesome. I love it. You're really good with mic skills. Like you're just you got that way of talking that's perfect for a pro wrestler. So I'm sure
Yeah,
you know
thank
that
you,
though.
man. Thank
I'm
you. I
sure you
really
know that. But
appreciate
you're
that.
like the way you deliver, it's perfect. Like you're always doing like the perfect just I don't know. I don't know if cutaway is the word, but like the you know what I'm saying. The segment. Like
Yeah, the
you're
inflections and
delivering the
everything.
message.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But all right, cool. Well, thank you again for joining me on this, and we'll definitely be in touch again. And I'm gonna play some clips and get this posted, and we'll talk.
You're very welcome, and thank you again, man. Yes, we'll
Awesome.
be in contact. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Awesome.